Hello, I'm Robin Warner, an experienced engineer and magazine editor, and I am driving a 2021 Volkswagen Arteon SE. Now, Volkswagen updated the Arteon for the 2021 model year and calls this car its brand halo. I call it the largest and coolest hatchback I've driven in a long time. But before I get too far, let me first tell you just what the Volkswagen Arteon is. The government classifies the Volkswagen Arteon as a large car that seats 5. The SE is the lowest of 3 trims available on the Arteon, beneath the SEL R-Line and the SEL Premium R-Line, which means you go without all-wheel drive as an option, nor do you get the illuminated light bar in the front grille, a panoramic sunroof, or wireless smartphone charging. But all Arteons are powered by a turbocharged 2-liter inline-4 engine producing a peak output of 268 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. That power then goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission and, in this case, onto the front wheels. The base price for the 2021 Volkswagen Arteon is $38,190, and my test car cost $38,585. For those that are interested, I included detailed specifications, including dimensions, fuel economy, and options in the description. All right, let's take a look around the car. And here it is, the 2021 Volkswagen Arteon SE. This is the King's Red metallic paint. It is one of 3 new colors offered for 2021. The other 2 are Oryx White Pearl and Lapis Blue Metallic. I probably pronounced those wrong, but it actually doesn't matter because this is the SE model and those other 2 colors are only available on the R-Line models anyway. So let's just call them white and blue, and let's call them irrelevant because this is an SE. The Arteon has been updated for 2021, and it's been a mild update. They quote-unquote sharpened the front grille and did a few updates here and there. Fuel economy does improve slightly. I'll talk about that more in a minute. And because this is the base model, we are rolling on 18-inch wheels, not 19s or 20s that are available on the R-Line models. But this is, I think, a nice looking car. It's got a nice swooping fastback shape, and it's got a well done rear end. Also, going around here, this is just 4 cylinders with dual exhaust, and it does have the fake exhaust outlets, but I'm happy to report there are real exhausts right back there. So it's fake, but it's not bad. And you have 2 mufflers coming out. So, you know, as things go, the real world, you could do a lot worse than this. And I love that this is actually a hatchback. Check it out, right? And now it's a hatchback with the trim piece removed to kind of give it that like faux trunk deck lid space. That is right there. Look at that. Ooh. Pretty darn big inside. Look at that. That's spacious. And now it's a hatchback with the seats folded down and the deck lid piece removed. And that is ample space. I mean, look at that. I bet you that beats a lot of coupe-shaped SUVs out there. And the Arteon is also available in all-wheel drive. So, yeah, man, who needs SUVs? Look at that. All right, let me close this up. Easy to do. There's a nice handle right there. Generally speaking, I do very much like the shape of this car. I love that it's a hatchback, and I think Volkswagen did a really good job to keep the design updates minimal and just go ahead and let the good overall shape just carry on. And real quick, by the way, those are LED headlights, which are standard on the Arteon, but they are not adaptive LED headlights that come on the R-Line models. But overall, I really like the shape of this car. I think Volkswagen did a great job. All right, let's go inside. And we'll quickly check out the back. It's actually a little bit under 100 cubic feet of volume back here, but you know, plenty of room. Look at that. Decent amount of width as well. Plenty of leg room. This is a perfectly comfortable place to be. I have no problem with space for legs, knees, etc., etc. All right. First thing you see right here, that is the Volkswagen digital cockpit, they call it, the instrument cluster screen right there. That is now standard on all Arteons, as well as MIB3 user interface for infotainment duties from the center console. I think generally it's a nice clean layout. You know, nice old school shifter, electric parking brake. You do have a start stop button, of course. Heated seats, automatic climate control. You know, pretty usual stuff over here. Looking at the door, you know, that's a hood unlatch. Typical stuff here. And you do have lumbar support and usual options for seat adjustment. Getting inside. Nice deep cup holders. This is a nice little spot for your smartphone, but it is not a charger. Chargers are available on the higher R-line models, which this is not. But generally speaking, it is comfortable, spacious, it has good supportive seats, and I think it's a clean interior design. I do like that like brushed aluminum look inside, and I like the two-tone dark interior, lower, lighter, upper, and you know, sunglass holder, whatever. Yeah, but generally speaking, a nice, good, clean interior for the 2021 Volkswagen Arteon, which, like the exterior, got a minor refresh. I mean, let's start with the fact that I like hatchbacks. I like hatchbacks a lot. I like hot hatchbacks even more. And while if I was forced to choose between this and a GTI, I would almost certainly choose the GTI. The fact that I can compare those two and ask up the hot hatchback question about something this big that looks more like a sedan, more like a fastback sedan, is super cool to me. I mean, you saw how much space you have back here, and it's entirely comfortable, and it can kind of play the role of a sedan when you need to, and then also play the role of a hatchback when you need to. That's pretty slick. Plus, you've got a healthy amount of horsepower from that turbocharged 2-liter. 268 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque. The 8-speed automatic shifts fast, works quickly, and you don't feel wanting here. You know, I can hit the gas, pretty good reactions, and pretty good pull even from lower RPMs. So it's a good place to start. And it's almost like a little nostalgic fun that it's actually a 2-liter with an iron block. So you can kind of like, in some kind of weird small way, be like, remember the good old days when blocks were made of iron? And not only does the body look cool, it's pretty darn functional as well. Your coefficient of drag is just 0.29, which is definitely below average. You're usually, for a car like this, in like the low 0.32, 0.33 kind of range. So you can respect that. And this probably is the car that gets that lower coefficient of drag, having the 18-inch wheels instead of the 19s or the 20s. So 0.29 coefficient of drag results in 22 miles per gallon in the city, 32 miles per gallon on the highway, 25 combined. Those aren't groundbreaking numbers in the days of plug-in hybrids and EVs and things like that, but pretty darn respectable considering everything. Now, if you do go all-wheel drive, you do pay a fuel economy penalty, but it's not too bad. That's 20 miles per gallon in the city, 31 miles per gallon on the highway, 24 combined. And think about that. This car is over 191 inches long and has a nearly 112-inch wheelbase. So this is a big car we're talking about. You have tons and tons of cargo room in back, or you can comfortably seat 5 and still have decent room in back. And, you know, the power, it's not quite hot hatch level, but, you know, it's a pretty darn warm hatch, okay? And just to be fair, Volkswagen doesn't claim it to be a hot hatch. They don't even call it a hatchback. Their press material calls it a notchback. but whatever. It's a hatchback, and to me, it's hot enough. We're gonna call it a very warm hatch. And being a very warm hatch, it's only fair to see what a very warm hatch feels like while it's accelerating. So let's do that real quick. Quick come to a stop. It's a little slow to get going. You know, we'd like just a little bit more pep, and that was in sport mode. We're gonna get to the drive modes in a minute here. But, you know, still pretty darn respectable, quick shifts, and once you got moving pretty darn quickly. You know, for a car that weighs just under 3,700 pounds, it's really not bad. You know, we've got a power to weight ratio in the hot hatch range, but it's far from remarkable. And the good news continues when we talk about chassis. So we've got a nice solid platform we're working with. It's the MQB, which Volkswagen uses on a lot of things. It's a good solid platform. We have strut suspension up front, which is, you know, pretty much ubiquitous, and we have multi-link suspension in back, which means we have a four-wheel independent suspension here. And on top of everything else, we have drive modes that do legitimate changes. I'm currently in sport mode. There's actually several modes, because there's Eco, Comfort, Normal, Sport, and Custom, so 5. And each one of them offers a decent amount. You have you know, transmission, steering, and drive modes adjust something called dynamic chassis control. That's Volkswagen's word for adjustable dampers. You have legitimate adjustable dampers in this car, and that's standard across the board. The SE models have them in addition to the R lines. I have to say, roll, pitch, and dive was a pleasant surprise. I had less of it than I expected in a car this big and long. Having the adjustable dampers makes a big difference. And of course, you also have anti-roll bars to help mitigate those movements as well. And generally, Volkswagen is good at tuning these kind of things. I mean, again, GTI. The one place where this car is just a little bit underwhelming, unfortunately, is steering. And I mean that in terms of the weight of the steering. It's lighter than I'd like, even in sport mode, and the precision. It's a touch sloppier than I was hoping for as well. Now, I bet you that that's noticeably improved when you go to the 19 or 20 inch wheel, because you've got a little bit less play and a little bit less tire sidewall to slow things down. But still, that's not a reason that it feels the way it does. For the car feeling as sporty as it does otherwise, I was expecting a heavier weighted steering, a little bit more precision, and slightly better steering response as well. But, you know, we are talking again about, this is a large car, not even mid-size. This is a large car, and a lot of space front and back. You saw I had tons of knee room, and I'm nearly 6 feet tall. I'm 5'11", and so I wasn't wanting for space in the back, and it's wide enough that 3 adults could be back there for short trips as well. But this is probably a good time to remind ourselves that this is much closer to a Passat than it is a GTI. And the fact that I'm even discussing these topics when I'm talking about what ultimately is a front-wheel drive large car for families, you know, you have to say hats off to Volkswagen for being able to go as far as they did. Could it be better? Absolutely. But also remember, this is just a $38,000 car, which means you get a lot of value for your money from a driver's enthusiast point of view. And if you're the type of person that only has the space or the budget for one car, and you have a family, this car will deliver all the things you need a car to deliver to, and yet still give you some enjoyments on the weekend as well. And, you know, that's a pretty strong argument for a car that also looks good, it's pretty quick, and has a lot of features inside as well. You've got all the, you know, usual infotainment, all the safety things, all the stuff you need. And I have to say, I'm not in love with this car or anything like that, but pretty darn intellectually satisfied by it, I guess you could say. I'm Robin Warner. Thank you for watching.